Hi guys, I'm just going to document my journey so far with stage 4 COPD emphysema, widespread emphysema. Like I said in my last video, I got diagnosed with COPD relatively young. I was about 35. Um, I think it started off as stage 3, but I was suffering symptoms, I would say probably when I was about 27. But I was just getting palmed off all the time with asthma pumps and ventilating pumps. And I did smoke at the time. So, you go to the GP surgery, everything's to do with smoking. And rightly so, yeah, smoking has a massive impact. But there's, many other factors involved with my COPD, such as my previous lifestyle, premature birth, my lungs wasn't developed, alpha one. So there was loads of factors. Um, so I used to go to the GP. Not once did anyone give me a lung function test. Not at all. Like I said, fobbed me off with asthma pumps, told me to stop smoking. Fair enough. So when I moved from London to Kent, I see a respiratory nurse and gave me a lung function test. Then she said, I've got the lungs of an 80-year-old. I was like, "Oh, really?" So I got referred over to a consultant. I had my lung function test, I had all the tests. Then they referred me over to the Royal Brompton in London. Fantastic hospital, um, absolutely fantastic. They've looked after me. I've had a couple of bits and bobs, which has been a bit, but that's just like with any service. But I can't thank them enough for what they've done for me. So I have all my tests at the Royal Brompton, and then I find out I've got widespread emphysema, which is inflated lungs, which is your lungs trapped with air. So you breathe shallow. Excuse me. You breathe shallow, so you can breathe in, but the air can't come out. So when I first had an appointment at the Royal Brompton, I see a consultant, and the first thing they said to me was, "Has anyone spoke to you about transplant?" And I was like, "Oh God." I was like, "No, like I'm not sick enough. I believe I'm not sick enough to have a double lung transplant, and it's a major surgery. Um, if it got to a stage where it was like end stage, so to speak, and I couldn't breathe, I couldn't do anything. I was on constant oxygen all the time. Then obviously I would do it. But at this point in my life, I don't feel that I would need to have a double lung transplant at this point. But I have had some procedures. So going back now, they spoke about valves and bronchial valves. So they're little valves. Actually, funny enough, I've got one here. I don't know if we can be able to catch it on the camera. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can. You see that there? Let me move it up a bit. You see that there? That valve there? Yeah, it's a one way valve. So basically, what they do, which is a new thing, I think it started in 2000. I think they started trials in 2018. If I'm not, I might be mistaken. So I don't know the facts and figures, but just a general term. So basically, they said we have to see if you're a candidate for the bronchial valves, and what that entails is them little valves I've just shown you. They go into the affected part of the lung and they reduce it. So they reduce the capacity. So you think, well, hold on a minute, you can't breathe. They're reducing the lung. Ain't that going to make things worse? No, it doesn't. So basically, where I've got hyperinflated lungs, so if you imagine it like a balloon, so you've got one affected part or the worst affected part of the lung. So they'll put the valves like two, three. I had 5 in my left lung because on the left lung, you've got two lobes. On the right lung, you've got three. And I'm saying that for a reason. So they put five valves in my left lung, so they reduced the capacity, so it gives the lungs space to move off the diaphragm, so it gives you space to breathe, you know, efficiently. Um, so I had five valves placed in my left lung in 2020. That was a great success for about 2, 3 years. I really benefited from it, but then the valve started to fail. When I say foul, the tissue was growing over it. There was lateral air, so it's like having a hole in the balloon, and then the lung expanded again, and then obviously it was obsolete by this point. So once that happened, I would say in 2000. Well, yeah, I had the valves in 2020, and in 2023, or was it 24? No, it's February 24. They spoke to. I had a lobectomy. So, like I said earlier on, the left lung has two lobes and the right has three. I hope I'm correct, but let's just go with that. I'm pretty sure that's the case because I think I've only got half a lung on the left. So, what they did, they removed my left lower lobe, a lobectomy, so they completely removed it surgically. And what they do is they cut you, it's like they say non-invasive, it's major surgery. But what they do, they don't cut you open anymore. They just made a slit in the side there, and they went in with a robot, removed half my lung. It was amazing at the Royal Brompton. And my recovery time was really, really a quick turnover. 5 days I was in and out. I had a couple of tubes in drains for about 3 days. They took the drains out. I was okay. I found it difficult to get used to the breathing pattern of because obviously I've got half a left lung now. Um, so that was difficult at first, but then I would say about a couple of months later, I got some fluid buildup on the lung um, within the lung. Um, a pleural space, which was really painful and uncomfortable. After a couple of days, they finally figured out what it was in my local hospitals around here, which are horrendous. My local hospitals, you know, I don't go anywhere near them if it's to do with my lungs, but I had to at this point because it was what it was. So yeah, and then that cleared by itself. Um, and then I was okay with the lobectomy, and that's still going fine, the left lung with the lobectomy. It was really good. It's had a great impact. But then my right lung, I started really getting, you know, severe breathing problems. So I had to go back to the Royal Brompton. And going back to the valves in 2020, I forgot to mention, sorry, I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just freestyling. I don't write anything down, I just go for it. So basically, when they test you, because not a lot of people with emphysema are suitable for the valves, because I think maybe just 1% of people with my condition, my umbrella terms here, because COPD is an umbrella term. You've got a lot of, you know, branches coming off of that. You've got COPD, you've got emphysema, you've got, um, there's loads. So what they had to test for first. I had to go through tests. I had to do scans. I had to do perfusion scans. I had to get echocardiogram. I had to have blood tests. I had to have lung function tests. And then I had to see if there's any bilateral air flowing through any part of it. Because if you put the valves in, so what they had to do initially, they had to put I think it's a little balloon, and when they go down to inspect, when they do the bronchoscopy, they put a little bulla, it's called, I think it's bulla, not sure, or let's just say a little balloon, and they pump it up and they measure if there's any lateral air coming from anywhere else. So, because if you put the valves in, they're one-way valves, so to let the air out but not back in. So, if you've got any other air leaks around that, obviously it won't work. It's like blowing up a balloon with a little couple of holes in it. You wouldn't be able to blow it up, so it would be absolutely pointless putting valves in. So they've done the tests, and thank God I was a candidate. So I had that. Right, fast forward again to 2025 this year. So I had the lobectomy, that was successful in 2024. And then, like I said, I started, my breathing was a bit all over the gaff. So they said, we'll put some more valves in the right lung. So I thought, that's great. That's fantastic. That's fantastic because I tolerated it before and it works out well for me. So I thought, that's good. I'm happy with that. I call it a fake surgery because what they did, now I didn't know this, and it was an oversight. It wasn't anyone's fault because the Royal Brompton, they're fantastic, but it was a bit of an oversight where now, when I had the lobectomy before and I had the surgery, there was a problem. I think it's called cystinosis, where my voice, why my voice is the way it is, I thought it was my breathing for all these years, but it wasn't. Basically, what I've got a bit of cartilage in my throat, and it's sticking onto my voice box, onto one of the vocal cords. So it's sticking out. So when they put the tube down, they couldn't get the tube down. I think it was 8.5 mil tube. They couldn't get it down. So basically, what happened was, it was a few months ago. I got booked into the Royal Brompton, got there the night before, had a beautiful dinner, beautiful hospital food. No, it was not. That's a joke. Yeah, beautiful hospital food. I'm grateful. And I went through the whole process, went down under general anesthetic, come back. We didn't do the surgery. We didn't do the procedure. In my defence, I was like mash up with the anesthetic. I lost it. I lost it in now because the thing is, when you can't breathe and you struggle to breathe, it affects every aspect of your life. Like at this point, I couldn't. I got up, went to the toilet. I'm blowing. I'm blowing like I couldn't. I was like struggling. So I was very, very disappointed, but I wasn't in my right mind because I've just come to, you're groggy, that you went through all of that and nothing's been done and nothing is going to be done for at least a couple of more months. I was raging. Like, I know I could have handled myself better, but and then I calmed down and I apologised. But that's another story. But I was very disappointed because I thought, now I've got a couple of more, a couple of more months to deal with this. Anyway, so they booked me in again. I had the whole same procedure again. 5 valves put in my right lung. Lovely jubbly. I'm happy. But it didn't seem right. I was still a little bit out of breath, and it wasn't like 5 years ago where I felt the benefits of it. It was like, I couldn't breathe. I was like, what's going on? But I thought, oh, I'll leave it, I'll leave it. So I got home, I started to, do what I have to do. And I wasn't really feeling the benefits of it. I was struggling a lot. I was really struggling. I couldn't cope with it. It was too much. So I went back to the Royal Brompton, had a lung function test, had a scan. I had an outpatient's appointment and they said, how are you? I went, not good. They said, I'm not surprised. Basically, one of the valves, it, what am I trying to say? It moved. So they had to, it adjusted. So my lungs started to overinflate again. I was like, oh, so I had to go back in again this time. I said, have you got the smaller tube to go down my throat? They didn't put me on a breathing machine. They sedated me. I was under general anesthetic still, but they went down through my voice cords and done it that way. So I feel much better now. They've done the job. I think they replaced, where's that thing gone? They replaced this one. This is the one they took out. This is the valve they took out and they replaced it with a bigger one. So that was the culprit. That was the little, that really messed me up for about 2 months. So yeah, um, you know, I am on oxygen. I'm on ambulatory oxygen, which is when I'm out and about, I'm walking about. If I go to the supermarket, if I go on a treadmill, do a bit of walking if I can, I'm on the oxygen. And I'll speak more about the oxygen. I might do another video about oxygen, maybe tomorrow or this week or whatever. But yeah, that's my journey so far. So I've had a lobectomy, I've had valves put in my lungs. So effectively, I've got one lung over the capacity of two, if that makes sense. Um, my breathing is much better now. I still struggle. It's never going to be perfect, but it's like you just get patched up, is what it is. And I'm very, very grateful. I must say a big shout out to the Royal Brompton, um, and Dr. Garner, um, Chris Orton, um, Dr. Nicholson. These these guys have really, for the last 10 years, has had a huge impact on my life, because without all the interventions, I don't know if I'll still be here, to be honest with you, or my quality of life would be absolutely non-existent. So I think I've waffled on enough, but I just wanted to give you an update on the journey so far, my situation, my journey, and my COPD. Um, so if you've got something out of this, that's fantastic. And I hope you have a great day. And I'm going to leave it there, and we might discuss. I think I will discuss oxygen, and how it come about, and how I got onto oxygen, and how I cope with oxygen, because it's very, very important. Because it's not just to help you breathe. So I think I might cover that in another video. But until then, I'll catch you guys later. Cheers.